Hello, hello, I'm Kads, and welcome back to the free-to-play review. So today we're going to be talking about the newest addition to the game, or newest expansion, whatever you want to call it, Live Arena Season. So we have a new segment of an old game mode, shall we say, with the Live Arena Seasons. This has been a very popular request by those who do like PvP in the game, that they wanted Live Arena to represent something more than just, or they wanted some reward for being the best, so to speak, which is not something that the traditional ladder offers. There's no real reason to be number one. You just kind of sit there on the leaderboard, but in this case you can be like number one for the season, and we'll talk about what you can get for doing that if you are so lucky and whatnot. But yeah, this is the latest addition to the game, and I want to give my thoughts on this addition from the free-to-play perspective. So as I like to do, or as I've started to do with like new entries into the game, I do give the ratings or grades on 3 entry criteria, that being the challenge level, the reward space, and then the time commitment. So I will just go through the grades really quickly, and then we'll talk about what each of those means in the context of Live Arena Season. So for the challenge level, I give this definitely an A+. That just means it's going to be challenging because it's PvP. That's the nature of the game. Maybe it might start off fairly easy, or it might start off fairly hard depending on your local seeding. That can be a very definitely a crapshoot, and we'll see if we can do a couple fights here at the end of this video. But I'm giving it an A+ because it is PvP. You're going to be going against the best of the best, and this is kind of somewhat of a ladder to see who's the best. And so if you want to compete with the best, this is the best way to do it, because that's what most people are going to be focused on from the PvP perspective. The reward space, I'll give it an A-, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. And then time commitment, I'm giving this a B-. They did expand the timing windows, so they're now 3-hour windows instead of 2-hour windows, which definitely does help. But it is, it's not 24/7, so there's always going to be a little bit of a downgrade for that aspect of it. However, we'll talk about why that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. So I expanded a bit on the challenge level, but let's dive into the reward space aspect of it. And I think the elephant in the room, the thing that most people kind of jump to and talk about, is like, this is what you can get if you're first place, top 10, or top 100. And of course, majority of the player base, myself included, we are not good enough to be anywhere near the top 100. This is going to be whales and krakens, of course, fighting each other to try and be the best, get their avatar, get their shards, get their books and materials and whatnot. So it is nice. I don't really have a problem with this, again, from the free-to-play perspective, just because free-to-play, you already have that understanding that you're never going to be able to compete with the whales and krakens. They've spent tons and tons of money. This is PvP, and there's not really much sense in having a game mode, in my opinion, where everything is kind of equal in terms of PvP, because there has to be a reason for the people to spend, otherwise they wouldn't be spending money, right? It wouldn't make sense, in my opinion, for a free-to-play person such as myself to be number one in PvP, which means that, and me not having to spend any money, which means that then why are the whales spending money, right? And then the game dies and whatnot. So I think it's fine. Let the whales fight each other and see who's the best of the best. However, there is a bit of a caveat with that, and we'll come back to that when we dive into time commitment. But the other aspect of it is the milestone rewards, which is kind of more what we will see, we being average players and whatnot. This is like your participation trophy aspect. I did see a couple of people talking about why don't they have a top 1,000 or a top 10,000 or something like that? And I think it just kind of defeats the purpose. I mean, maybe I can see an argument for top 1,000, but again, even me, Endgame, 5 years in, free-to-play player, I'm probably still not going to be top 1,000 on the leaderboard. So that's just not realistic for a lot of people. Top 1,000 is going to be a bunch of people who spend a bunch of money. And then top 10,000, that just doesn't, to me, that doesn't really mean anything. If you're 9,000th in the world in a game with, 100,000 active players, it's like it doesn't mean much. But in my opinion, I think being in the top 10,000, if you want to call it that, that just means you're getting somewhere along the way in the milestone rewards, and these are pretty decent. There's some energy nodes along the way. You're going to get some of the new gear sets. We can talk about those a little bit later. You get some of the relic crafting materials for the Live Arena specific relic set and whatnot. You get some of the salt or whatever, basalt, and so it's pretty decent. It's unrealistic that you're going to get all the way out through milestone 8 and even beyond if you want to get that far. And I did the math. I double checked because I heard some numbers thrown around there, but I wanted to confirm it myself. But it is actually, unfortunately, I should say, true that you would need to be doing over the course of the 28 days where it is live. It is going to be a month long. That's how long these last, with 2 weeks of a dead period in between the following season, or the current and the following season. But you would have to be averaging 16 fights a day, which means that you'd have to do your 5 free, get the free refill, do the second 5 free, and then also buy extra every day. Spend some gems on an extra 5 refill refills at least. So it's 16 is the real math, but 15 for the sake of easy explanation here. You'd have to be averaging that every single day for the 28 days that it's going to be live in order to get all the way out to milestone 8, and that is with a 50% win rate, meaning you're winning half the time and losing half the time, which could be possible, but it also might be relatively difficult depending on your level of champions and gear and whatnot. So getting all the way to milestone 8 for the average player, and well, let's not even say the average player, because the average player does not even play live arena, but that's a whole different subject for another day. But the average active live arena player is probably not going to be doing that many fights a day. I know I don't do that much. I do a lot of fights on stream, on weekends, on Saturdays, but for the most part, I just get in, I do my 1 win quest daily thing, and then I just leave it. I don't have the time. And I think a lot of people are going to fall into that problem where they just don't have the time to commit to do X amount of fights every single day. So while that is a huge negative, I do think that you can kind of treat this like how you treat the Cursed City, where it's like, hey, play as much as you'd like, and you just get as far as you possibly can within the realm of the season, because you're doing the same thing that you were doing before. You're playing live arena. Maybe you played a bit more because now the season kind of gets you more hyped to play, or you're playing around the same because you don't feel that anything is really realistically changed, or perhaps you're playing less because you're less incentivized to go for it. Could be that. But the point is, you're going to be getting cool free rewards just for playing how you normally would, or playing in your new paradigm, and it's just more than you were going to get before. It's more than just the medals for the super great haul and whatnot. So overall, I think it's a good feature. I think a lot of people wanted this, maybe not majority of the player base. Again, majority of the player base doesn't even play live arena at all, but I do think it's a nice twist on the existence of live arena. And I also think that this is the initial iteration of it, and there's definitely room to grow. They can definitely add and expand to this more, because seasons, just like any other game with the battle pass, they can change things. They can bring in new gear sets. They can swap it out like they do with the forge passes. They can switch up things. And so I think of this as like the beta test, and just seeing how the system works, seeing how people respond to it, seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work. And speaking of what doesn't work, I do have a couple of things that I think could be an improvement or expansion on this game mode. And one thing that I've heard talked about that I do agree with to an extent is kind of actually limiting the amount of battles you could do per day, at least the ones that count towards your season points and ranking. Because the way it stands, at least in gold, you do have to be gold to participate in the live arena season. So if you're in bronze and silver, none of this even applies to you, but I digress. The way it works now in gold is that you get 9 points for a win and you lose 3 points for a loss, and that is how we calculated that 16 fights per day average that you would need to do, 50% win rate, in order to get all the way to milestone 8. But because of that 9 versus -3 disparity, it is obviously a lot easier to climb. That does help people get, move up the tiers in gold, but it also makes it really easy to be number 1, air quotes, so to speak, just by playing the most number of matches instead of having the highest win rate, for example. So one of the ideas that I liked was maybe that your first 5 or your first 10 fights every day actually count towards your season points, and then anything you do after that, spending a bunch of gems on infinite numbers of refills, it just goes back into the normal ladder, and it's not going to affect your season rank. So that could be a way to kind of assuage that little disparity there of saying, the person with the most amount of fights is going to be the number 1, which is obviously, again, going to be some Kraken somewhere with a bunch of time and a bunch of gems to spend on refills. But the logic there is that, you have 10 fights every day maximum that you can spend towards grinding out your season rank. Therefore, you'll be more incentivized to try and win as many as you can out of those 10 fights, because those are the only ones that count for score. The thing is, though, switching to some solution like that would not have its own problems, because of course you'd have to readjust the milestones, you'd have to redo the math such that you can actually get to wherever this is in the 28 days. Again, if you're capping it at 10, that's going to be a fixed amount of points that you could earn at a 50% win rate, and you'd have to tune this appropriately to say that it's realistic to obtain. You don't have to win 100% of your fights in order to get all the way out there if you have a cap, because that means you can't get any more credit. So they have to do some balancing there. But also, it would defeat the purpose of having these excess chests where, again, the whales and krakens can just go ham well beyond milestone 8 and just keep fighting and farming as much gear as they'd like. You're not going to have that aspect of it. So maybe it'll be another hard cap in terms of the amount of gear that everyone can get, which could be a little bit more balanced. But there's not as much of a reward then for the people who want to go above and beyond. So you kind of have to play it by ear. Again, there's an idea there, there's a concept there, and I think that could be better overall, but it would have some kinks to iron out. The other thing I've heard a lot of proposals for is kind of having more restrictions, more complexity, more diversity in Live Arena. And so it's not just once you get to gold, you have to have unique champions. Maybe they can do this season is Knight Revenants only, or this season is Epics only, and this season is that, whatever. And I personally am really, really against this idea. I think it makes sense for a lot of people that have a lot of champions and they can just funnel all their good gear onto whatever restriction applies, and then they could still have their fun. I think it's more of a boredom type of solution than a like practical solution for a majority of the player base. Again, majority of the player base does not like to engage with Live Arena at all, so having it be more restrictive would make even less people want to engage with it overall, which means longer queue times, you're not going to be able to find opponents, etc. But I'll come back to that. I do think it's a bad idea overall, just with how the player base is and how they react. And a good example of this being used would be the Cursed City. The number one complaint I've heard when it comes to the Cursed City and people trying to progress is, I don't have this champions, I can't meet these restrictions, it's too restrictive, I can't get anywhere. And I think we'd have the exact same problem if we had, Knights Rev only week or something in Live Arena. It's like, cool, I don't have any Knights Rev legendary mythicals, whatever, so I can't really compete, which means you don't engage with it, or you just lose every time because you're using whoever you have and it's just not good within the restriction. So I think, again, it's something that would be beneficial for the whales and the krakens who are kind of bored with the meta. They want a no mythical week or something. They can try to see who they can use to win that. But the difference is between like the high spenders and the low spenders would be, if there's no mythicals this week, cool, then all you're going to see is a bunch of void legendaries that they all have, right? And then the free to play person who has their first mythical, their Mikage, they finally farmed her out, they've been building her up for arena, and no mythicals, you can't use her. So there's a give and a take there. And again, overall, I don't think it's the best idea, but nonetheless, let me know if you disagree with that in the comment section down below. Let's have a discussion about that. But the last thing I think that could be an improvement is, and then other people have said as well, is to have like a friendly version of Live Arena and or what I call a tournament mode. That would mean that you could have, your clan could host a tournament, a nice bracket of 16 people, 2 or 1v1, etc., and you crown a king, and whoever wins. I don't know if you can get rewards from that because it's just friendly, but I think it would fit well into the whole raid community, and just kind of having a friendly competition between clans, or maybe content creators could host something, maybe PlayerAim could host something and invite a bunch of content creators, something like that. Could be cool for just engagement, showing off people, people showing off the champion, showing off who's better in a live arena setting and stuff like that. And potentially, I think that's where, if you wanted to have some restrictions, that's where that can live. So this clan can host a tournament, and you could say, all right, Knights Revenant only, see who's the best in our clan. And then my clan or something could say, well, we don't want to restrict it to that. We can just have a fun competition, no restrictions whatsoever. Or maybe we can say epics only or whatever, something different, just so that you can pick and choose, but it's more friendly. There's no stakes, because of course restrictions can heavily benefit certain people with the right amount of luck, or they can screw over everyone else who doesn't have that same kind of luck. So I think if they're going to implement that at all, it would be more appropriate in that friendly type of system. And I do think that would be pretty cool to participate in some content creator tournament, see how quickly I can get knocked out by the real spenders and whatnot in the game. So those are my thoughts on the latest addition to the game, Live Arena Seasons. Do let me know in the comment section down below if you agree with some of my takes, or you agree with some of my ideas and proposals to make it better for any future iterations of this. And a huge shout out to all of you who stuck around this long. Appreciate you sticking with me through my entire rambling rant here. And as your reward, we're going to do some Live Arena Seasons. You can see here I've done a couple of fights. I'm at 21 points, so I'm definitely still in the buffer zone of the start. But let's see if we can get a dub here, at least the one win for the advanced quest that I mentioned earlier. That is basically the bare minimum that I do on most days. However, like I said, I do more fights on Saturdays, and I will be streaming. I do stream now, I guess I should say, every week or every weekend, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Pacific time on the YouTube channel, as well as my Twitch channel, which will be linked in the description box down below if you do want to check it out in the future. So yeah, and that's where you can go if you do want to see more longer stretches of Live Arena fights. I've trying to stray away from making dedicated videos on it, but if you guys do want to see that more, then let me know in the comment section down below. But let's see what we can do here. I think maybe we're starting to queue off of season points, because I'm at 21, this guy's at 18, but our normal Live Arena rank is massively different. He's in gold 4, I believe, and in Tau, which is kind of scary. But let's see what this guy is gonna do. we've got the Marius. I'm expecting to see a lot of scary Mariuses coming through. So we're going to counter with the Armands and the Siphi. Let's see what he does. Marius, unfortunately, doesn't tell me anything about what he plans to do, which again is always kind of scary. But from a person from Gold 4, I'm not surprised to see a just Marius kind of whipped out there. That's kind of the number one pick. I mean, he's such a busted and broken champion. Unfortunately, he stole my Galathier. I guess, yeah, I'm not used to fighting people in Gold 4 because I myself am only in Gold 3. So maybe I should have picked my Galathier first instead of the Siphi. Hard to say at this point. But I think we're going to go... He's not showing too much of his hand, but he's definitely going for the speed comp. So that's scary, and he has protection. I think we might go with the Harima here to pair with the Siphi. And then in case we're going to be CC'd, maybe we go Ancora. Or better yet, no, let's go with the Necrat for a little bit of protection. And then we'll hold off on the last DPS just to be a little bit more flexible. I have no clue where this guy is going. I'm expecting him to ban Armands, but at the same time, a lot of people in Gold 3, Gold 4, and beyond are really, really fast, and they will call my bluff when it comes to my Armands, who's like 300 and something speed, but he's not winning any speed races on his lonesome, so he might take he might keep the R base. We'll see. I don't know. Galathier is somewhat scary, but Marius is almost scarier. It's hard to say between the two of them. But he's taking his sweet, sweet time. What's he going to pick here? Unknown. Okay. Well, that is a lot scarier. I was kind of hoping to go nice myself. I do have him. Mezimel is also scary. He's definitely trying to counter the Harima, which implies to me that maybe he's going to try and take out whichever nuker I choose here. So I'm thinking we go with the Rhodos. And then we can get rid of the R base. That way he doesn't have a speed aura. But this could be a gamble. This could be a lot of Stone Skin that we could be running into. Armands gets the ban as expected. Unfortunately, I only have like resistance auras here. I guess we go with Siphi's. Yeah, not feeling too confident on this one, especially with the Galathier. We do have 2 nukers compared to... No, they have 3 nukers. And Mezimel is definitely going to be in Stone Skin. Nice, probably going to be in Stone Skin. If I'm lucky, then Marius is not in Stone Skin. Yeah, I don't know. This is looking like an L, but let's see. Let's see what happens. Maybe. Oh, we do. Maybe we have a chance here. We have a protection set on Siphi, so we might see if we can. We protected block debuffs on Harima at least. I'm still worried about Mezimel, and I'm hoping that we cut in here. Is he going to transform? Yes, he's going to try and lock out Rhodos, but that's not going to work because we do have a Siphi. And I think we can go ahead and actually we can take out Galathier now. He's exposed. We'll take that. Provoke, or we kill Marius. That will work. And actually, let's just kill Mezimel. Hopefully, we can not die. Do nice in the ult form here. Obviously, he's going to change and try and kill someone. I don't think he can one-shot me from full HP, but I don't know. Nices are pretty darn scary. Or maybe he just hides under the counterattack. Yeah, that's probably a smarter thing. Makes sense. How bad is this going to hurt? Because I do have Harima. Okay, so he can definitely kill people. So let's be concerned here. Oh, he resisted the provoke. That's not good. And he actually gets a turn here. Siphi's dead, so he's going to revive at least one person. We are not out of this fight yet. And unfortunately, he killed Siphi. Oh, man. Oh, we're in trouble. We're absolutely in trouble. I think we actually lost. We're getting soloed by Nice. Unfortunate. And he just gets all the way back around to a turn because of the counterattacks and the turn meter boost. And he literally killed my entire team. Oh, it's unfortunate. And we're just getting... Wow, that's unfortunate. All right, we can leave with our dignity. Oh, never mind. He still won. Unfortunate. And that I get... Yeah, that's case in point or proof in the pudding of why I'm not in Gold 4 yet. I get absolutely rolled. But apparently that dude, like myself, hasn't been playing that much live arena seasons. We'll do one more fight here live just to see if I can get that one win for the day. Obviously, I'm still going to make sure that happens regardless. But we won't do one more fight for the sake of the video. I'm not going to keep you guys here forever unless you're enjoying it. Let me know once again if you do want to see more dedicated live arena strategy type videos. There's a lot of strategy that goes into live arena, but it's also like extremely dependent on who you have. Who's on your roster, what you can do with that, how they're built and whatnot. So that's why I kind of shy away from it, because a lot of it's just like, I'm using champions that a lot of people may not have, and it's like, how applicable or how applicable is that to you? I don't know. But again, let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section down below. This seems like a much more reasonable fight. So we're going to go, he took my Arbiter. That's unfortunate. But we are going to go Ancora and Siphi. We'll threaten that. I'm expecting that he's not going to whip out a Galathir or some crazy mythicals if you're leading with Arbiter, but I've been proven wrong many, many times in the past. We got an Odin. Okay. Odin and a Narcisse. So he definitely wants to steal the Narcisse, so I don't run that, but that's okay. We're going to go with the Galathir and the Harima to counter what they can do here. I'm thinking of banning the Odin. He has a lot of Void champions so far, and that might have to leave in the Arbiter, unfortunately. We'll kind of see what the best plan of action here is. A Wukong and a UDK. Ah, man, this would be so tempting. Mezamel doesn't have masteries yet, but she's working her way through Minotaur, and oh man, I really have wanted to test her out against like a UDK Wukong combo. So this could be scary. This is a non-Rotos comp, so let's not worry about that. I'm less afraid of well, actually, you know what? No, we can't be greedy. Let's do Gizmak here, because we can ignore the block damage, and then let's get rid of the Narcisse. That's the biggest threat here. He could ban the Ancora, and then I'm kind of having faith that my team has enough resistance to deal with his stuff here. In this case, I do want to make sure that we can try and resist the Odin, so we can just cleanse and protect our team. But I guess in this case, he banned the Gizmak, so Ancora will be protecting Harima from the stun, but she will, of course, still be susceptible to the decreased defense, which could be dangerous if the Wukong gets his turn. So Stone Skin there, Stone Skin there. That's unfortunate we don't get the Gizmak to burn that all off. A-okay. So he comes in here with the stun. Do we have enough resistance to resist it on Galathir? That is the question of the day. Oh, he's trying to kill him. That's weird. Okay. Protection set. Go, protect me. Didn't do all that much, unfortunately. I guess increased speed is protected on Harima. I was hoping to protect the block debuffs. I wish I could have had Narcisse myself, because I do like running Narcisse into a Wukong, just because if he leads off with the A3 and he steals too many buffs, then I can just go, come around and block revive on the second turn, which is kind of fun. Yeah, he shouldn't be able to kill anybody. I mean, this is kind of unlock. It's just a waiting game, wait for the Stone Skin to wear off on UDK. Thankfully, I should say, somehow he's under one turn Stone Skin, which is very, very surprising. I'm used to the 2-turn super slow UDK. But we'll see if we can do some damage here, because Wukong gonna die. Yes, cool. I think this one is on lock for sure. So we definitely won. It's just a matter of time, and he leaves. Okay, appreciate it, sir. Thank you. So there you have it. We did get our one win for the day. Advanced quest complete. And I guess now is as good a time as any to mention what my particular strategy is when it's going to come to the live arena season. I kind of mentioned it a bit earlier, but I kind of do just a few fights every day just to make sure I get the one win. Then I go ham on Saturdays on stream, trying to see if we can get 10 or 15 fights in or whatnot. But yeah, I'm not going to be trying that hard. Again, this is more of a Whale Kraken Funhouse type thing as far as grinding near the top of the ladder. I'll get as far as is reasonable. The gear sets are kind of cool. I guess I didn't really talk about those. But the new gear sets are cool. I think the Stone Skin breaking one is kind of pointless. We've seen many times that it's just really hard to hit through Stone Skin, even with cracking roots and all that stuff. But the Reviver set is quite interesting, so that would be key, or that'd be interesting to get it on maybe Galathir or something. I don't know. It's kind of the more resisty type champions, and it's only a 4-piece set to get decent stats. But yeah, like I said, my strategy, get as far as I can within reason. I'm not gonna kill myself trying to get as far as I possibly can. I'm not gonna be playing that hard, and I'll just get whatever I get over the course of the next month or so. So that's going to be my unique strategy. So let me know in the comment section down below what your plan is relative to live arena seasons. And once again, do let me know what your thoughts are on the new feature overall. As always, if you did find this video helpful, then be sure to hit that like button down below. It really does help out the channel. And if you did enjoy the video, then be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.